Today I'm going to be doing an oil change, an oil filter change on my 2016 DL650 Suzuki V-Strom. The tools I'll be using is an oil can, an oil filter tool, an adjustable wrench, socket with 10 and 14 mil sockets, size 4 Allen key, an oil funnel, the new oil filter, the oil, and a paddock jack stand. I haven't seen a video on how to do this for the V-Strom with a Divi skid plate attached, so I thought I'd record one. The first thing I do is pop up the rear on a paddock stand, makes the bike upright. I can see the level of oil, makes all things pretty easy. Most of the effort is actually involved in getting off the skid plate. I'm using a combination of a socket, a 10mm socket, and an adjustable wrench and an Allen key to try and jimmy off some of the bolts on the skid plate. These bolts have to come out here. There's another one on the other side, here, here, and the same for the other side. Now that we have the skid plate successfully removed, we have access to the oil filter. Now I have my oil pan in place, I'm going to go ahead and undo this sump nut. So now the oil is just leaking out, and we'll just wait for that to slow. And what I can do in the meantime is pull this little tray underneath the oil filter and take off the oil filter as well. So now I'll remove the oil filter. And I'll just leave that for a while to drain. The oil has just about stopped flowing now. The next thing I'm going to do is, this is a sump nut, it has a magnet in here which can attract stripped off metal bits from within the engine. So I'm just going to clear that off a little bit before putting that back in. So now I'm going to go ahead and install the new fuel filter. And just take this plastic off. Okay, I'm just going to lubricate around the seal around the outside here with a bit of oil. Alright, it's time to put this back on. Spinning it clockwise. Now, there's a bit of an argument as to whether we tighten these according to a specific torque. I don't pay too much attention to that. I know that's probably going to get me into some trouble. I just use my oil filter tool to tighten it a little bit. I believe over the time of riding the bike, it actually gets tighter, so don't tighten it too much, just enough for it to be pretty secure there. And then I'm going to put the sump nut back in as well. It's difficult to do holding a phone. Here we go. This is a 14mm nut, so once I've got that in, I'll grab my socket and tighten that just a little bit. Still a bit loose. There we go. Just give it a bit of a heave. Should be enough. Again, I don't have a torque wrench, so that's good enough for me. Next thing to do is to remove the cap to where you put the oil in. And I've got one of these funnels that just plug in there because you don't want to spill the oil everywhere. And the oil I'm using is just a bike 10W40 mix. I know there's a bit of a debate over whether you can use car oil in a motorcycle. I'm probably leaning towards using motorcycle oil only, mainly around the fact that bikes have wet clutches. So now I'm just going to open this, and I'll just pour the oil into the bike. There is some question about how much oil we should put in and whether it should be 2.3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 litres. Look, we have a window down here, so I just typically fill until that reaches the full line, and that should be enough. Also, that's one of the benefits of doing this while the bike is on a paddock stand, because the bike is upright, so you can see into the window much more clearly. So now you can clearly see that the window shows that the oil level is full, probably a little bit over that line, but that should be enough. And now I have a bit of reserve oil. So now I just simply take the funnel out and replace the cap. Making sure it's pretty hand tight. Doesn't need to be any more. Now, that's that job done. What I need to do next is reapply or reinstall the Give skid plate. Okay, now to install the final nut in the Give. So just thread the nut through here onto the engine mount, the bolt, sorry, and then we put the nut on the back, hand tighten. I've already installed the other nuts and just tighten them up, and that'll be good.